The major changes with how real estate commissions work began kicking in at the end of the week, August 17th. Real estate expert Rick Sadle with Keller Williams Realty and SadleRealEstate.com is with us. Rick, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
So we've been anticipating these new rules ever since these settlements were announced with the National Association of Realtors, the NAR. So for homeowners and buyers, what's the most clear explanation of what's happening?
Well, I mean, without going into a really long explanation of how we got here and what all the reasons were, it basically comes down to this. On August 17th, due to the National Association of Realtors settlement, we're decoupling commissions. What I mean was the old way was the seller would pay the listing agent, and the listing agent would then share that commission with the buyer's agent. Now, the buyers were still paying for their buyer's agent commission. They were just doing it in the form of the purchase price. Now that practice is ending. Now the seller pays their listing agent and the buyer pays their buyer agent. It's a completely separate process. And as a matter of fact, that compensation for paying the buyer's agent has to be agreed upon and memorialized in the form of a contract up front before any work is done.
Okay, so let's say a potential buyer wants to see a house that's on the market. Are you saying they're actually going to have to sign something that, in fact, lays out this buyer's agent commission?
Yeah, well, in theory, this is all about transparency, right? Before the buyer even goes out to look at a property, like you said, with an agent, according to the NAR settlement, it says they'll have to sign a buyer agency agreement that lays out the responsibilities of the agent and also how much they'll get paid. Now, that way, as everybody is totally clear on how much the agent's getting paid and by whom. Not only is that in the settlement agreement, but that's going to be Oregon law in January of 2025. In fact, right now, it's already Washington law.
Okay, yeah, so we have a couple of steps, but it's already in motion. If someone is listing their house as a seller, Rick, what are their responsibilities? I'm talking about the seller, and what are some new strategies that you've been hearing?
Yeah, I mean, the seller's only technical responsibility is to pay their listing agent as they contractually agreed upon for selling their house. That fee is going to be negotiated between the seller and their agent, completely separate from anything else. Now, that being said, there might be some buyers that can't afford to pay their buyer agent. Maybe they only saved enough cash for a down payment. Because remember, you can't finance a commission. You can't wrap it into the loan, which effectively you used to be able to do because it was part of the sales price. So that could limit demand for some sellers. It could affect their price by lowering their buyer pool. So one strategy sellers can do is offer some sort of credit to offset what the buyer owes their agent. That could limit the amount of the cash the buyer needs to bring into closing, which could create some more demand, which could help sellers' prices.
Man, this thing is going to evolve for sure as people get used to it, both, principals involved in a transaction and agents. Thanks for laying it out for now, and we'll revisit it for sure. Rick, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
That's Rick Sadle, real estate expert with Keller Williams Realty and SadleRealEstate.com.